This outdoor setting is really perfect for our transcendentalists. We have two in particular we want to study in this course, Emerson and Thoreau. We'll deal with Emerson first. Emerson's essay called Nature is a very important essay, and as you read it, you'll find that he is indeed celebrating nature, but there's a great deal more to it than just a celebration of nature. Emerson is a philosopher. Not so much a practitioner as Thoreau, but more of a philosopher. He likes the ideas. He didn't always put them into actual effect, but he did like the ideas, develop the ideas, and you'll find him developing those all the way through his essay. Some things that you'll want to notice as you read through it is one in particular is the attitude of the transcendentalists toward nature. They don't see nature quite the same way as we're accustomed to seeing it now. And in fact, you'll notice a term called the oversoul in the transcendentalist writing, particularly in that of Emerson, where this oversoul is a spirit, a guiding source of life that flows through everything that has life, including the trees, the animals, people. And this is really their conception of God. So when the transcendentalist makes reference to God, don't get that quite mixed up with the traditional idea of Christianity and the concept of God there. It's a bit different. And the transcendentalist, when he refers to God, really means this animating spirit that gives life to everything. One thing in particular is that this is not really a religious movement in the traditional sense. It does have religious overtones to it, but it's more of a philosophical movement. The transcendentalists do change their concept of religion here, but they're not out to form a church or get any sort of establishment going in the usual way that we think of religious movements. This is more of a literary and philosophical movement. Also, they were never very numerous. Perhaps the circulation of the dial, which was their chief literary organ, was about 300 at best. And so it had very limited circulation. But just like with the Puritans in that earlier group, the transcendentalists are much more influential than their numbers would seem to indicate. And so that the things that they write, the things that they talk about, the ideas that they present to the public, these are ideas that get read by the people who are the thinkers, the movers, the doers in society. And so these ideas begin to permeate through other writers, other thinkers, politicians, people who form the basis for our society. And this is what makes them so influential. So they were very, very influential during the mid-1800s and had a profound effect on many of the people. And this is why they become still so important to us today. Nature is not something apart from man. We often see this idea even in cartoons and movies, popular literature, something like Bambi, for instance, the Walt Disney film. You'll see how the forest is shown as an almost perfect place until man enters the forest. And then all the wildlife is in danger and the woods are set aflame and you have all this destruction caused by man. So there is, in literature, traditionally, something of this adversarial relationship between man and nature. But for the transcendentalist, this is seen as a very unnatural sort of state. And in fact, man is supposed to be in natural harmony with nature. So when you see Emerson and you read through his essay and you see him go out into the woods and he says something like, "I become a transparent eyeball," this is really what he's talking about, that there's not supposed to be a distinct separation between man and nature, but man is supposed to be part of nature. And so when he uses this turn of phrase, a transparent eyeball, he conveys or tries to convey the idea that he's blending in, he's part of nature, but he's still able to see what is around him. And so ideally, for the transcendentalist, he believes that man should be as much a part of nature as the deer or the squirrels or anything else that's alive and moving in the world around us. One other important concept with the transcendentalists is that they really don't believe that evil is real. Evil is a sort of artificial construct that's here because of the way we're forced to live in towns, in societies closely packed together. And so if someone is evil, they would say then he was not naturally evil, but he was made evil because of the society around him, because of his environment. And this is one point in particular where our transcendentalists really seem to be at odds with our romantics, even though they're all writing about the same period and many of them know each other. The romantics believe that evil exists, and you see this in their writing. The transcendentalists do not. At least they do not think that it must exist. It exists only because we've allowed it to exist. And once we get to the state where we know what we should be and what we can be, then they really believe that evil will fade away and disappear and will no longer even exist. Read Emerson carefully. He's a little difficult to get through at times, but he's worth the effort.